Hi guys, welcome to the Fashionpreneur Talk with Gitana Styling podcast. If you don't know me, my name is Sandra. I'm a fashion stylist, a podcaster, and a business consultant. And this podcast is about having genuine conversations about fashion entrepreneurship and getting your questions answered. So if you have any questions at all, please email me at info@gitanastyling.com. Gitana is Gitana styling.com. I will leave a link below for you anyways, okay? Now, I want to invite you to join us inside our free Facebook group, Fashion Entrepreneur Club Hangout. In there, I answer questions, I share resources, I host events. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link also for you. Last but not least, I have a free resource for you that is great if you're just starting your business and you don't know, the steps to follow and put together a plan, or maybe you have been in business for a while, but it's not really working well, it's not really working as you expected, then these guides are for you. They're completely free. I'm gonna leave a link below. It's just 3 guides that you get via email, and I walk you through the process. You can create that plan that really works for you and your business. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get started with the podcast. Hey guys, so in this one, I'm going to share with you 10 things I did to get into the fashion industry in a completely new city. So back in 2015, right, I moved to Arizona. So just to give you a little bit of background, I moved here to the United States when I was 16 with my parents. And then I moved to Florida, to Miami, Florida. That's where I arrived. And I grew up here, right? I went to school here. I started working here. I started working in the TV and fashion industry. And around 2015, I was married at that time, and we decided to move to Arizona to try a new place, a new market, and all of that. And we moved there. And, I didn't know anybody in there. I already had here built a business, a career. I was working with people, I was freelancing. I had done a lot of different 9-to-5s in the media industry and also in the fashion industry. So I already had a good thing going. But, going over there, those connections didn't translate to that. I had to basically start from scratch. Of course, I had a resume with me, but I didn't know anybody over there. And the industry over there was very different from Miami. Miami is a bigger market. There's bigger brands. There's bigger fashion events. And over there, it's a smaller market. It's a great market. And I love my experience over there, but it's smaller and it's different. It's a different vibe. It's a different style. It's different people. Both great, but different and smaller. And that's why I thought this was a great thing to talk about in this video, because in our previous episode, I talked about what if you have no connections in the fashion industry. And a lot of people had a lot of questions. And with this one, I was like, okay, this is the perfect example, because, it was a smaller town where I was living, and I didn't know anybody. So, it is proof that if you start, from scratch in a new city, or where maybe a place that you think there's not a big market, or, you're in a little town, or maybe, I don't know, you don't have enough experience, or whatever it is, you can still make it happen. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 10 main things that I did. I know I probably did more than this, but these are the 10 main things that I did when I arrived there, when I didn't know anybody. and they really quickly took me to that place where I was part of the industry. I knew a lot of people in there. I was consistently working in it, and I had an amazing experience. I ended up participating in so many fashion shows, working with so many designers, and so many amazing projects. So let's dive into it. Okay, so I have my list here. The first thing I did when I decided, to move to Arizona was, before I left, I updated my resume. So, it seems something simple, but it's something that takes a little bit of time, a little bit of thinking, of, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And, from time to time, we have to do this thing, right? And even though in this age and age, things with the internet and technology are faster and everything, it's good to have that resume, right? And so I just look at my resume, right? And I was like, okay, what have I done these past few years that would help me, right, land that position or get that opportunity in the fashion industry in this new market. So I fixed it, I updated it, the basic stuff, right? So I was good to go. I updated it, so I was good to go. The second thing I did is I decided to go online and check out all the fashion related things in Arizona. So fashion events, fashion weeks, fashion incubators, fashion designers, fashion boutiques, anything and everything related to fashion happening in Arizona. And particularly in the city that I was going to move, which was Gilbert, and all the main cities around it. Like I knew that Phoenix was a place where a lot of stuff was happening, and Scottsdale was a place where a lot of stuff was happening. So I focused my attention in those three markets mainly. So yeah, just go on Google and start doing some research, right, about the places, the things, the people happening in this place that you're going to, right? The third thing I did is, and I made a list of that. I made a list of everything, contact information, emails, all of that good stuff, okay? Then the third thing I did is I thought about what I wanted to do, right? Because I wanted to go in like with a plan. And of course, you go in and then things change, and that's okay, right? But at least if you're coming with a plan, it's going to be easier to execute. So in here in Florida, I went to school for TV production, and I started as a production coordinator in commercials and music videos and things like that. And that evolved with time into me becoming a stylist. I was a production coordinator, then I became a producer, a writer, and I love fashion so much, and I had other experience in the fashion industry that I started incorporating my styling people on set while I was in those commercials, in those TV show productions and things like that. So in here, through that transition, I covered a lot of fashion events. I did a lot of photo shoots. I did styling for different productions. And I interview a lot of designers in different fashion events, and I was getting more involved in the fashion show area, and I really, really liked it. So I was like, okay, we're going to a new market. I think the next step for me is to work inside a fashion week. That's what I want to do. That's like the main goal. And I'm open still to cover events, to do writing, to do styling, all of these things, but I would love to work inside and learn all the way how this works and all of this stuff. So that was like my main goal, right? So it's important to have a goal because that's going to make it easier for you to come up with your plans and your ideas on how you want to execute, okay? Then the fourth thing I did is once I got there, right, that first week or 2 weeks that I arrived there, where you're doing a bunch of errands and unpacking and going to the driver's license and changing your driver's license and doing all those things, I started to send out the resume. I started to send out that resume and use that list that I made here with all the research and started talking to people. Hey, I'm new to town. I'm doing this. I have experience in that, blah, 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 blah. I started to reaching out to all these people while I was doing my regular, getting settled stuff, right? Then the next step that I did is when I got situated, right? When I got situated, I was in my place, I had my car, like everything was, the papers, everything was good to go, we were settled. That's when I started actually applying to participate in particular events, to apply for positions for different events, to apply to be a volunteer in certain events and things like that. Once, I had a schedule, an agenda, all of that stuff. So that's when I started doing that. And by the way, I did all of this, and if you can see that I did a lot of things ahead of time, because first I didn't want to have like the pressure. And second, like I knew that at some point, right, it was gonna get the time to like make money, right? Or not get bored and don't feel deflated and things like that. So I was always like 2 or 3 steps ahead, I guess, because I wanted to always know that I was being proactive towards what I wanted, and I had faith and trust that things were going to fall into place as I kept moving. So that's something to think about, because a lot of people, for example, they wait till they move, they're settled in, and they wake up and they have nothing to do, and then like, okay, now I'm gonna make do my research. Now I'm gonna make my list. No, you can do that all in advance without the pressure, with more time, thinking more clearly, and things will fall into place easier. At least that's my experience. Okay, then I actually started going to events. I started networking, going to networking events, going to fashion shows, going to different fashion events in my area, just to start, meeting people, to start seeing how it is, to start getting to know what are the brands that are established here, like who are the characters, right? Like I started to get involved in the industry, in the fashion scene, like they said. Then the next step is I once I kind of knew who was what, and kind of like I felt aligned with certain brands or other brands or certain events and certain people and stuff like that, I really started making an effort to connect with people. So I started to really do networking, going to events, talking to people, introducing myself, telling them what I do, how I can help them and all of that. So I was starting to be more intentional and really networking and connecting with people. Then the next thing I do is I decided to open a space where I could hang out with these people. So here in Florida, right, I had already been building a list of people that I work with, right? I had a network, I had customers and that, and I had stayed in touch with them through social media, right? But now I was like, okay, well, I need a space where I can really connect with the old people and start introducing the new people and start connecting with them and building relationships as well. So that's when I decided to open my free Facebook group, the Fashion Entrepreneur Club, and just started connecting there and sharing what I was doing and sharing the events and connecting people with people. Like if I met someone and they needed someone in a certain area, they need a pattern maker, they need whatever, a model or whatever, I started connecting people and I started directing them into this place, right? And this place could be anything for you. Maybe it's your Instagram page, maybe it's your podcast, maybe it's your free monthly Zoom call, I don't know. Or maybe you meet actually in a actual coffee shop, which I did also for a while later on with the program that I did. But for me, the easiest thing at that moment was creating that Facebook group, free Facebook group, and started connecting with people. And yeah, that was the big step in this whole process. And then the next thing I did is I started putting together like a content plan. I thought, okay, if I'm going to connect with these people, right, and I'm going to show them what I do and bring value to them, I'm going to start being very consistent in my content creation, in the kind of information that I'm going to put out, right? So I started thinking about, am I going to write blog posts? I'm going to do videos, or how putting together a content plan for my Instagram and things like that, or just send my newsletter weekly and things like that. So I came up with a plan to start providing value consistently to my audience, to these people that I was connecting with, these people that were following me from Florida, from Arizona, and start sharing with them what I do and being able to help them. Okay. And then the last thing I did is I started covering local events with my blog, which is, how I got a lot of, people say, oh, blogs are, out of style. That's, back in the day. But blogs, having a space online where you can put your content and share with the world, it's an actual resume. It's a living resume. It's a portfolio. It's a place that, people can come and see who you are and what you do and see if you're a good fit for them. So the blog here in Florida, when I got started, when I was going through TV production, and working in commercials and things like that. And I opened my blog for free, right? And started going to fashion events and covering them and stuff. The blog brought me so many jobs. It brought me. I started working with magazines that wanted me to cover their events because they liked my writing and they liked the pictures I was sharing and how I was covering them. I started getting invited to participate in different photo shoots because they liked my style. They liked the tips I was sharing. So I started styling different models. Like it gave me so many opportunities. So I was like, I'm going to continue with the blog here in this new city. And I started covering events. I started going to fashion events, like I mentioned, and connecting with people. And then since I already was starting to develop a relationship, I started then asking them questions and share them in the blog. Like, hey, I would love to interview you. I would love to share with my audience that go to my blog, what you do, what your next collection is about, and that. And I think that these 10 things all combined really, really help in everything that came after. If you are listening here, you're watching, and you know me from Arizona, you know that I did a lot of work in Arizona, and it was a great, great experience. I started working with one of the main fashion weeks over there. I went all the way to being one of their main stylists. I styled so many shows throughout the year. I worked with beginner designers, people that were coming out with their collections for the first time. I work with middle ground designers they were already established and they were going after and going into retailer chains and working with different bigger brands and stuff like that. And I also work with huge designers that are dressing celebrities and things like that, right? And people in the public eye and it was an amazing experience. I work with a lot of designers. I work with our local fashion incubator over there. I went to the radio, I went to TV. Like I did so much work. It was beautiful work. It was very rewarding, and it's exactly what I wanted and what I had planned for, even more, right? Than what I planned for when I decided to go over there. So, and I didn't know anybody. Like I went by myself to these events by myself, right? Introducing myself, connecting with people. But like I said, it was a progressive thing. As you can see, if you need to watch this again and see like all the steps, all you need to do is just get organized, have a positive attitude, and believe in what the work that you're doing, right? And perhaps maybe you don't have the experience yet that I had. Let's say that maybe, I was already styling fashion shows and photo shoots and the commercials and all of that. Maybe you don't have that in your resume yet, but it's the same. It's okay. I'm sure that if you're just starting out, you have friends around you, right, who are in the industry or who do makeup or who, know a local boutique where you can participate in their fashion show, or you can offer that to the boutique. Like there's so many things you can do. You just have to decide where to start and decide, what is the goal? What would you like to do? So you can start focusing on that direction. And you can start, in my case, I started with a blog and I started with, putting together the Facebook group and creating that content. You can do the same. You can start by just saying, okay, I'm going to start sharing on Instagram what I know about fashion, what I know about styling, what I know about makeup, what I know about whatever it is that you're focusing on. And you start educating yourself and you keep sharing the journey and you start going to the events and you start sending the emails, all of this. And trust me, it's going to bring you what you want. Okay. And hopefully, and I'm sure it's going to bring you even more, because there's things that you're not even aware of that are going to happen. So I hope that this was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, if you want to go deeper into any of these. And yeah, I'm just excited to share this with you. It really was it was an amazing experience. And I just wanted to share with you to show you that, you can do it as well. So let me know what you think and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye guys.